Welcome to another podcast episode of Don't Worry About the Government. I am Ronnie Weiss. That is Chris Novembrino. Which way does it? I still gotta get used to this.
No, you know, the weird thing, though, is after we shoot the video, it's actually the opposite. I don't know if you've noticed that. So the last video ends with me just pointing aimlessly off the screen. So, like, right now, I'm pointing at you, apparently, as we're shooting this. But when the video goes up, it will be the other way, and I will be pointing off the screen.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know.
No, when you were just doing it, it looked like you were pointing off screen just then.
Well, then that's how it'll look, because maybe that's just however it looks for you.
Yeah, that's I think that's what it is, because I'm recording off of me. Anyway, technical issues aside, Fox News has an article up. Pint-sized Super PAC aims to bring Congress together over round of beers. And basically
it's
about...
God.
What?
I said thank God. It's about time. I really just think that if Congress just sat down and had a beer together, we could just work this thing out.
So, okay, there is something to be said for civility, sure. But the idea that I keep hearing that just common sense is what needs to rule the day, and bipartisanship is really just about people sitting down and talking, and if they were willing to sit down and talk to each other, then that would actually make everything work out. I find that to be incredibly asinine.
It's just an issue of tone, man. Don't you think? That's not
what I'm saying. I'm saying, yes, you need to be able to talk to each other, but sitting down and talking to each other is like, I think there are a lot of people out there who look at these things and go, that's all it's going to take. Just two people sitting down. If they were willing to listen to each other, we're going to have the solutions. That's not how bipartisanship actually works. Bipartisanship,
right.
Yeah.
And the reason it doesn't work like that is because you have special interests. So, and all of these candidates are paid for by special interests through political donations. So they have certain positions that they can't really waver from. So while people want this give and take and this compromise and this exchange of ideas and this discourse of ideas, it's not really that realistic when you have a congressman who has to make sure that his constituencies get held up for because he needs those donations.
But then, no, hold up there. Corruption aside, he needs to take care, he or she needs to take care of their constituency, and you need to make trades and go, look, I want to make sure this gets funded for my people, and I therefore will back up you. That's how it works. That is old school bipartisanship. I do you a favor, then you do me a favor, and there is a corruption aspect to it, and there's just a that's how things work aspect to it. If you don't have anything, this was the whole problem with the Tea Party. This is the problem with Boehner trying to bring them in and trying to do it. It's like if you just have your own sort of ideology and that's all you stick to and you have nothing to trade off and you have nothing to discuss, well, then what's left? Then all you can do is get what you want or not get what you want, as opposed to finding any middle ground. Without working with the other person, having something to trade, going, okay, I don't particularly like this, but I will go along with it because I know you will go along with me later on. You need that, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Without that, what's left?
Well, you didn't let me finish on this. I mean, I think there's a capture by donors that happens, but there's also a capture by ideologues. This is where I might surprise you. I think some ideologues and some reformers, because they're against earmarks, because they're against loopholes, because they're against log rolling, and the stuff that used to grease the wheels of our sloppy bicameral system, because people are against those things for right or wrong reasons, for principled reasons all, we've gotten to a point where nothing gets done. So it's not just a matter of civility and tone. If you're not okay with the way earmarks and log rolling and how all that stuff works, well, unfortunately, not a whole lot's going to get done in Washington. And but even more so.
I mean, the problem with earmarks is when it's egregious. It's when it's an entirely like you can say in a forestry bill that this amount will go to this forestry project in Missouri. That is perfectly reasonable, and that's the sort of stuff where you have people get behind it, and you have it, I mean, where it makes sense. It's when you have these riders that have nothing to do with the bill. That's what's problematic. So when people talk about earmarks, I mean, those are things that are sometimes related to the actual bill. And it makes sense that you, as a representative of your constituency, would try to get extra stuff for you. I mean, that was what Ted Stevens was really good at, right? That he would always get things for Alaska.
Yeah. I mean, but he's an example of the bad usage of earmarks. I mean, we've moved to a point now where there was pressure on Boehner when he became the Speaker of the House to not do any earmarks at all. He never made that commitment. He never actually went and followed up on that promise. But it's a cultural thing. So I think that has served as a bit of a roadblock. But the other thing is, I just think that there's good bipartisanship and bad bipartisanship. Good bipartisanship is where you meet in the middle and you try to find an actual common ground. And bad bipartisanship is when you have like that guys like Murdoch who go, bipartisanship is Democrats listening to what Republicans say. Like that guy who primaried out Richard Lugar. Why am I saying everyone's name weird with a U in it?
Lugar.
Well,
it's Luger, like the gun. That's how you pronounce it.
I know. But I for some reason,
like
Luger.
Superman. Okay, let's get back to the article at hand. So we have these two college students, and now there's 6 college students, and their goal is to get congresspeople to come together to talk about the debt problem. I contend that the problem with Occupy Wall Street and things of that nature that are purely idealistic and aren't going to go anywhere, I don't see the line between almost doing nothing and doing nothing. What is your take on this?
I think that this is like when something happens in your life and you get upset about it, so you go and hit the gym to work it out. I think that sometimes that's constructive.
Though?
For these guys, like they're not actually doing anything of substance here. I mean, they'll get a little bit of a dividend, and maybe they've gotten more involved in the political process, and that's good. They're actually engaged citizens. So on that level, it's good. But honestly, the idea that we're going to come together and tackle the debt, which is inherently an extremely political thing, the budget's the most political thing. It's the rules of the road. Where you're spending your money, it's the most political thing. The idea that we're going to come together and solve the most divisive issue, it's bizarre. This is such a weird...
No, but I mean, let's get to that as the last point. This is the quote from the guy. Why is it beyond our congressmen to sit down and have a beer person to person instead of politician to politician and hammer out their differences and talk about how they really feel without worrying about their political bases and without worrying about what the media is going to think and find a serious solution to solve our problems? I mean, are you kidding me? Why is that not possible?
It's ridiculous.
Because of everything you just said. That's why it's not possible.
Why can't politicians sit down and not be politicians and then go back and be politicians after being people? That is the wish.
And you know what? You know what's important? How you look in the media is important to a politician. That's not a bad thing. Why? And then talk about people without their political basis. Political basis are their constituencies. They're the people who put them into power. They're the people who they are responsible to. None of this makes sense.
They're the people who
this
campaign.
is not good.
There's this denial. I mean, honestly, this is college level activism where you want to get involved, and it's good. And we have a lot of college listeners, and I think that's good. But there's right ways and wrong ways to get involved and sort of picking and choosing your. What's your point?
I think there's more than that. There's idealism to the point of not understanding how the system works. No, but more than that, it's honestly, this undermines what democracy really is, to be quite honest. The idea of two people talking as themselves to each other with no regard for their constituency is not representative democracy. That's all the time we have. But we are Don't Worry About the Government. We are over on iTunes. You can find us there by looking up Don't Worry About the Government. On Twitter, each of us individually. Also, twitter.com/DWATG. If you look up Don't Worry About the Government, and if you go to don'tworry.tv, you'll find all the different ways you can reach us. Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. That's it for me. Any closing words, Chris?
Goodbye.
Ugh. All right. Get involved, but get involved in an intelligent way. All right? That's the best I've got for you. Bye-bye.
Don't be stupid.
Yeah, that's our big advice.